Hi, guys. Welcome back to The Mesh. Today, I have somebody very special to me, my good friend and youth pastor, Clint Follower. I've known this man for over a decade.
That's crazy.
That's actually, I was just thinking about it when I was writing this podcast. So I was like, decade. Like, you've known me when I was like a wee little boy. I think I've known you when you had, actually, since he has the hat, I'm not, I don't want to flame him since he's wearing the hat, but I remember since we had hair, you know, and he's always been into like fantasy football, still crazy about it all the time. Very active youth pastor. Let's just say that youth pastor that does not, you know, scare from getting dirty and muddy. He will always be in activity. But like, how do you remember us meeting? Like, how do you recall this meeting?
Oh, like first time? My guess, it must have been a church. I know, like you said, it was over 10 years ago. Your parents started coming and brought you guys. Mm-hmm. And I don't even, do you remember anything about those first
few years?
Yeah.
No, because like, I didn't realize how long I was going to that church for FBC for that. Like, boy, have I been going to this church like all my life? Because like we've been to different churches, but I've been at that church the longest. I think it's like 7 or 8 years now.
No, because I think you were at a church.
Yeah, we were in New Braunfels, but like I've been at this church for a minute because I've been going to your church since 5th grade.
Yeah, so the whole youth.
So like, yeah, the whole youth.
Yeah,
which is insane because I remember I had to get moved up early because I was older. And you were actually the one that initiated that. Actually, you were the one that boxed for me to be in the older crowd.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting picked up from the little, from the room, the elementary room. I was too big for that room, so they told me, "Oh my gosh, I remember that."
It's almost like what happened with the football. You had to stop playing with the little kids. You had to play with the bigger.
Yeah, I had to go play with the bigger kids because like I was too massive, too fat, too big, and too athletic and amazing. But like it's just how it is. Okay, so quick catch up on fantasy football, what's going on? Because you've always really been really big about that. It's something you always brought up every youth camp.
Yeah. So right now, there's a thing called Scott Fish Bowl. Mm-hmm. It's like the biggest fantasy football tournament and like charity thing that they do. Mm-hmm. They raise like over $100,000 for Toys for Tots. It's 5,000 people in one league, basically.
5,000?
5,000 people. They break it up into 12-team leagues. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's over 5,000 people. They've already started doing some live drafts. So like they've drafted in Dallas and Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I'm going to Houston next weekend.
Houston?
Next
week? Oh my God. I was so surprised. Wait. So like you have this whole league, and I'm guessing you just explained this bracket. You get those prizes?
Oh yeah. They have prizes, and each live draft they do like auctions, and so they'll have like silent auctions, and they'll have door prizes and stuff like that at all the events. It all started online. So it started as just an online thing. A guy named Scott Fish, he had a heart for charity, and he started with one 12-team league. And the winner, like what they did is they all put in money, and then that money was donated to charity. They just did it for fun. And then over 12, 14 years, 15 years, it's grown from 12 people or however many that first year was to over 5,000.
That's insane.
Now they do live drafts and online. So a lot of people do it just online, just like a normal fantasy league, but they started doing these live drafts, and it's way more fun because you get to hang out with people that you don't normally, like you haven't met before, or maybe you've known them for a while, you've never met them in person. And so now you go to these live drafts and you draft your teams, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, well, my youth pastor is doing virtual NFL drafts. That like a big, I didn't even know it was that big. Like, cause like I remember my growing up in middle school, high school, my friends used to like talk, like have this little group or league they used to call it. I never understood it. I never even downloaded the fantasy duel. Like I've never ever been involved in none of that ever.
I was talking to my friend, and like my best friend and I, we've been doing fantasy football probably for like 17 years.
17 years? Yeah, that's longer than I've been in America, so keep that in mind.
At least. So fantasy has grown to like a huge industry.
Yeah.
You know, in what's really crazy is I've known a lot of these people when they first started that are like big, huge, like, you know, fantasy podcasts that have, you know, hundreds and thousands of people that listens and all that stuff, you know, and knew all of these like when they were startups. And now there's these big, massive companies it's crazy.
It is insane. It is insane. And I'm like, I gotta have to talk to you more about that, but we gotta move on.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so if you guys don't know this, let me stop looking down here. But if you guys don't know this, Clint and I are big AI fanatics, big AI nerds. We actually started diving into AI around the same time, and he was learning from me, and I was learning from him. And he has this, what's it called?
AI and the Gospel.
AI and the Gospel. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so AI in the gospel, it just for me, I started doing AI like right when ChatGPT
Yeah.
first came
Mhm.
out, and I started playing around with it just out of curiosity. At first, it really wasn't that impressive, but it was one of those things I just kept using. And so I've used it for over 2 years now. And as I started using it and learning what it could do, I realized this is a really valuable tool.
Mhm.
It's something that's not like that everybody's going to use at some point. And so I wanted to create a place where Christians and churches could think about it seriously and be ready and prepared and trained to know how to use it. And so that's really where it came from. Started originally with a podcast.
Yeah, I
when
remember that.
yeah, when I was like, oh, you can make ChatGPT your podcast host.
Mhm.
And so I did a few episodes like that. And then now what we're doing is I'm interviewing people a lot like you, going to interview people who are interested in AI, who are church leaders or Christians or even just tech leaders and try to get their perspectives on where AI is headed and how we can use it well, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's insane. That's awesome.
Yep.
Cause like literally, like I've just been dabbling in it. I just been using it for like personal stuff, but like he's starting a whole business that helps people out. The church that I go to, and I think that's insane. We're actually gonna invite him on the podcast to just talk about AI the whole podcast because I just love it, and maybe a fantasy
Awesome.
football one too.
Yeah.
But this podcast is fortunately just to get to know Clint and a deeper side of him, and then that's what we're gonna do here today. And today we're gonna start off with the hot seat Q&A.
Okay.
So,
Ready?
worst church camp moment you've witnessed, like as a youth pastor? Like,
Okay, so
I've been on a lot of them, so there has to be some in there.
all right. Well, okay. One for sure. I don't think you were a part. Maybe you were. Did you go to the camp that we were at that was like crazy and unhinged? Do you remember? It was in Brownwood. You may not have been there. Okay. All right. So let me just kind of paint the picture. All right. We go to this camp. It was so I normally go to like there's a handful of camps that I go to every year.
Yeah.
And so I'm very particular. One year, the dates that we had available and all the other camps I wanted to go to, they filled up or they weren't available those weeks. And so I had to come up with it's like my third backup at this point, right? And so I call different camps looking for a camp that we can go to. And I get a hold of the director. I talk to him. It sounds like a super awesome camp. Super excited about it. From the moment we get there, we realize, okay, this camp is not normal. Like I just remember we pulled up and like the camp staff, every time you pull in, like the staff's like, they're jumping up and down. They're excited. No, this group was like, they were like chasing us. They get on the bus and like one kid's like tackling our kids. And anyway,
that's actually crazy. Wait,
but so the worst experience, the worst part of it. Okay. There were a lot of things at this camp, but
the beginning was not it.
Yeah,
No, there's more.
So
there's more.
Okay. They did a it's like paper rock scissors,
Mhm.
right? A kind of game like
Is it like Gorilla Beat?
Yeah. Except they had different motions for different things of their camp. Like they had one for their worship band, one for their speaker, and then one for their rec team.
Mhm.
Okay, so it was their way of trying to get you to connect with the speaker and the band and the rec team.
Mhm.
Cool. But the motion that you were supposed to do with rec team, okay, he said, because our rec team is crazy, you're supposed to go, okay, so yeah. Okay, get this. Here we are, okay, and the whole room is learning how to do this game. And our entire youth group looks at me and they're like,
No.
and it was shocked that there were people that were actually doing this. And at the same time, I was so proud of every one of our kids was like, we're not doing this. And so they're like, what do we do? So I said, everyone do the worship team one.
Wait,
And we'll all tie and we can just sit down. Okay. So we don't have to play the game, right? We just purposefully do.
wait. Y'all stayed?
Oh yeah. I mean, listen.
Well, like, I mean, deposit was made. Deposit was made.
Now I called after the first night, we ended up calling every parent to check and make sure they were comfortable with their kids staying. And we all ended up staying and ended up being good. God worked in the lives of our kids. But that game, it was crazy. So they get up. Yeah, everybody does it, right? We just sit down and the speaker sees it. He sees, all 40 something of us just like sit down at the same time. So he goes, oh, that was a practice round. Everybody back up. And we're like, do it again. And so we sat back down. I ended up having a personal meeting with the speaker about it because he asked me. And I was like, dude, look, we can sit down and talk about it, but like my kids aren't playing that game. And he was really shocked. And so we sat down and talked about it. And when I told him like how offended we were, and like I couldn't believe that he didn't
get that, he didn't see that. Like
he was like, man, he's like, his words were, I really appreciate you bringing that to my attention. We've played this game for 20 years. And
20 years?
And no one has said anything. And it's like, How is that possible?
Their
that you had-
marketing team must be really good.
No, man, it was
By target-based marketing.
crazy.
That's insane. I've never heard of that before. And I didn't go to that? But what year was that?
See, I don't think you were there that week. It was, oh man, I don't even know now.
That's
I can't
insane.
remember.
I've never heard this before.
So the other experience, and this one really probably should be submitted to Youth Group Chronicles, and this
Youth
was
Group
my own fault. We finished camp one year. It was my second summer on staff. It was my first full year as a full-time youth pastor. We get done with youth camp, and we had two 15-passenger vans, but one of them was for the guys, and we were driving back and forth from the dorm to the worship center. We get done with camp the last morning, and everybody piles out of the thing. We head towards the vans. Our van was parked in the parking lot of the worship center, and the girls' dorm was like at the end of the road, like maybe 350, 400 yards away. Okay, not far. It was at the end of like this campus.
Mhm.
We were at a campus. It was a college campus. And so as we're coming down the hill, I jokingly say, everybody on the van, 37 people, one 15-passenger van. Okay. And so the driver, one of our church members, he was like, why not? And I was like, all right. And so we just piled in and on this van. Like we had kids like hanging on the back of the van, right? Like, but he was going like 2 miles an hour. Okay. So he was just driving real slow down. It was just our way to get to the other van.
Yeah.
I didn't really think it was that big a deal. In fact, at one point I jump off and like I'm videoing it because that was when Vine first started.
That's when Vine was. Yeah, I definitely was not here.
And so
That's when Vine
I'm like,
first
oh, this is
started?
gonna go viral, right?
Oh, no, that's insane.
So me and like half our kids are videoing it, and I kid you not. So the way the end of the road, you had to turn one block to go to the girls' dorm,
Mhm.
and that was a city street. Okay, I didn't think about this. I didn't think about any of it. Like, right, and we get to the end, and right as we turn left, there's a police officer sitting across the street. Lights on, pulls us over. I'm like, I am going to jail.
You are going to jail.
And
Yeah.
so pulls
Get
in,
on the van.
he pulls in behind the van, and I was like, I
Okay,
am
that's
so
hilarious.
sorry. This is the dumbest thing
That's
I've ever
hilarious.
done in my life. He was like shocked. And so I explained to him, we just got to a camp. Like, this is the
He
other
was
church
shocked.
van. He's like, you're not going anywhere else. No. Those kids are getting off the van. Like, we're not moving the van. He's like, okay. He's like, you are really lucky that I'm feeling like nice today. And he just told me to never do anything that stupid again and drove away.
I'm just got the van in there, bro. I thought the story was gonna end with like something, the axles or something, the wheels popping
Oh,
off.
I wish that was
That was
no, it
insane.
yeah. So worst decision of my youth ministry.
I thought it was not the best, but it was funny though. Remember,
It was-
I would have
it
still
was-
got on the van. Okay, which Bible character do you secretly think was low-key annoying?
Man, I've been thinking about this. Honestly, man, I would say it's got to be between. I'm gonna go with Paul. And here's
Okay,
here's
I
why.
see why. See, flip
because
the page.
because it's so easy to take certain things that he wrote and misunderstand what he
Yeah.
really means, and it becomes such a hot button issue in the church and with people. So like I think that's what I mean by he was low-key annoying, because he wrote so much, which is great, but if you don't read like most of it or all of it, then it's easy to take like one passage and say this is what this means, and then completely ignore everything else he wrote.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Okay, that's not where I was going, because I was thinking more along the line he murdered a bunch of people and then he started preaching. But that works too, you know.
No, yeah,
That was more
okay,
that's
okay,
more
okay, okay.
complex. Okay, you got 60 seconds to pitch Jesus in a TikTok voiceover style. Go. You got 60 seconds.
Stop scrolling. Okay, just give me a minute.
Let me back away. Let
I'm
him get
telling
it in
you,
there.
I know you're looking for something. That's why you're here. You're searching for something, and give me just a few seconds to tell you something that completely changes your life. Okay. The deal is, I know this world sucks. There are times in life that it just sucks, and it's because none of us are perfect. Okay. I mean, if we were all perfect, that'd be great, but we're not. We lie, we steal, we cheat, all that kind of stuff. Probably worse things too. And because we're not perfect, there's that's called sin. And see, God created you. He created me. He has a purpose for you. He has purpose for me, but our sin separates us from God. Like we can't get nothing I can do can get me to him. And he can't, like his love still reaches me, but that relationship's cut off. But he sent his son, Jesus Christ, who was fully God and fully human, to live on this earth. And he made a way. And that way is this: he died on a cross for our forgiveness. So sin, the power of sin, that separation is totally wiped clean. It's like God said, you know what? I'm not just going to stay up in heaven and be like, oh, you can't get to me. You guys suck. He says, no, he sends his son down to us, shows us the way to live, and then offers us a way by breaking the power of sin. And he came back to life, showing us that he has power over death. So we can now have hope that sin, all of the bad stuff in this world, has no power, and that death ultimately has no power. And so if you really want your life to be changed, Romans 10:9 says, you believe in your heart that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, that he was perfect and he rose from the grave, and you declare with your mouth he is Lord, you will be saved.
Amen. There you go right there. If you guys don't follow, like, subscribe after that. That was really good. Okay, what's one verse people misuse that drives you crazy?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah. So, okay, the reason it drives me crazy is because, yes, technically, I mean, if you take the literal, like what it's saying, but the problem is the context is you can do all things that Christ is calling you to do who strengthens you, right? Like it's not like I can just pick my own earthly desire, right? Whatever it might be, and say, well, I can do this because Christ strengthens me. Because there's the biggest part about the relationship with God is that God is shaping who you are and your purpose. And so that verse is all about, if you're seeking after Christ and you're striving after him, there are going to be obstacles. There's going to be things that feel impossible. But if that's your goal, if that's your aim, then yes, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. It's not like you're working out for football and every gym in America has or every school gym. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I mean, yeah, sure, but it's not actually Jesus that's giving you the strength to lift that weight. Now, if you really feel called to be a football player that gives glory to God and shows who he is because of that, sure, like that's part of it. Like that fits, but it's not like, man, this weight's really heavy and so I just believe in Jesus, so he's going to make me stronger. Like that's where I feel like it gets misused, and so it's kind of annoying to me.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, I just learned a little something right there, believe it or not. Okay, what did grief teach you that seminary never could? Like,
man, I would say that the hardest thing about grief is the loneliness you feel, because even in a family that loves you, a church that loves you, surrounded by people, in the midst of grief, you feel alone. And so the thing that seminary could never teach me is the presence of God and the power of his presence. Like in the midst of that grief, when you feel absolutely alone and just like there's no one that can understand you, God, the creator of the universe, loves you, cares about you, and he's there. And so the power of presence, and that also goes with people too, as I've walked through grief with people, just the power of being with them, not having to offer any advice, not trying to fix it, but just sitting with them and saying, I don't know what you need, but I'm here and I'm going to be here for you. Yeah.
That's real. I hope that helped out any of y'all out there that needed to hear that. Okay. Next segment we're going to get into is our light game segment. We're going to skip the reaction because I do not want to set that up. Okay, light game. Praise or pass. Praise or pass. Look, quick round where Clayton decides, praiseworthy or pass worthy.
Yeah, of course.
AI written sermons.
Oh, for sure pass. Now, here's the caveat is it can help you.
It can help.
Add and change, but AI, you're writing a sermon with AI, nope.
Now, you can tell if a sermon is robotic. You can tell.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Next one. Fantasy football prayer circles. Fantasy football circles.
So are you talking about the me and my league mates praying together?
Yeah, before matches. I don't know how it works, but a little prayer circle before y'all get into it.
Okay. I mean, so there's I actually have a group chat on Twitter that's FF Devo, right? Group. And so we aren't that super regular in communicating with each other, but anytime something big's going on in our life, there's a group of Christians that are all fantasy football players that we all and so I would say praise because we kind of do that.
Okay. Worship leaders with guitars doing high knees.
That's a praise. I want to see that.
You want to see that? I actually want to see that too. Okay. Youth group lock-ins. Oh my God. I want to hear this. Youth group lock-ins. Pass. Keep in mind, this man.
Okay, listen. Here's my question, and this is a question for you and for you. Does anything good in your life happen past 1 a.m.? Anything worthwhile actually happen in your life past 1 a.m.? No, it's all bad. It is all bad.
That
It's
is so
all bad.
That is so on point, though.
But I mean, the fact that it draws people in, like I get it. Like the kids love it. Like we'll do them. It's just I hate them with every fiber of my being. Yep.
I remember growing up, going to lock-ins at the church. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's so awesome to hear your side of it, because I'm like, I know having a bunch of kids running for like 12 hours straight
They love it.
is insane. But okay,
Oh.
that's awesome. Okay, AI Jesus chatbots.
You're talking about like chatbots that claim they're Jesus.
Like, yes, like, you know, how they do the celebrity chat boxes where it's like an AI
Okay,
voice.
so you know they have a Jesus AI in a confessional over in Europe, right?
Really?
Yeah. They have a laptop that has Jesus' face and it's AI, and you can go confess to Jesus.
And it will respond back?
Yes. Yeah, it's a hard pass for me. It's out. Nope. No.
Why am I thought I was chronically online, and I've not heard that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Now,
I'm
I don't know
going to
if
look
they've
that up.
continued doing it. I just know that it happened, and I know they did it for a while. I don't know if they still have the confessional of Jesus that you can confess to, but the idea is, you know,
Confessional.
you have to go to a priest in a lot of denominations. You have to go to a priest. Like in Catholic churches, you go to them, and then they intercede for you. And so they're trying to offer direct access to Jesus, which I'm like, let's become a Baptist. We got that, but whatever, you know.
That's insane. Oh my! I keep looking at the computer, but that's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, I never heard of that. Okay, so
it's a definite pass.
Okay. Now I got to move on past it, but
awesome. I do think so. One of the things that I'm trying to figure out how to work, is I do think you can leverage a discipleship AI chatbot kind of thing that will help people grow in their faith when they have questions about the Bible, questions about Jesus. All of the determinants, you know, it's dependent on the training of the model, all that kind of stuff. I think that's a good idea, but I think it's too far to say, here's your Jesus chatbot and then talk to it like it's
that
Jesus.
is like that sounds too much.
It's called idolatry.
Fast.
Idolatry.
Do that. Yep. Okay. Last one in the praise our past. Mid-sermon snack breaks.
I mean, if the pastor gets one too,
like everybody should. Everybody,
yes,
I feel like back in Haiti, we did have snack breaks because the sermons were like
3 hours
long. So we did definitely have snack break. Kids, the moms would bring like the Tupperwares full of food, and then the pastor.
I mean, honestly, I'm all for like just eating a meal while you preaching, right?
Yeah.
Like let's just sit around a table, and as we're eating,
some Last Supper vibes, you know? Let's do it.
Right.
All right. We got to wrap it up here. Okay. We got 3 more little questions for you. And then I'm going to let you do your thing. What keeps Clint hopeful for this next generation? Like what are you excited about the next generation coming up? What is
so
Gen Alpha?
Me?
No, the next generation. Is it me?
Yeah. So
just
Gen
me.
Z, then Gen Alpha, Gen Alpha, all that. So I would say that every generation is different, and then every generation is the same, like in a lot of ways. And we talk about like there are specific characteristics about each generation. And for me, when you talk about specifically with faith, one of the things and the trends that has happened is obviously there are less people going to church. There are less Christians in America, supposedly like really sad trends. And I think that's true, except what I've seen is that in your generation and probably the generation after is even though we may have less people who are Christian, those that are fully committed, right? My generation, it was like just everybody was a Christian. Like I remember you could talk to people and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. Well, what does that mean? Well, I just go to church, right? Like they had no idea what it meant to actually have a relationship with God. And I think what's happening is it's more that your generation is just honest. Like there's not a conception that I have to be a Christian. I can be whatever I want to be. And so in your generation, they're comfortable saying, I'm not a Christian, I'm an atheist or whatever, but they're hungry for truth. And if you can present truth and you can show them the truth, then people are way more receptive of it. And like I said, they're way more committed. And I love that. That gets me excited.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that because nowadays there's so much more distraction. It takes a lot more to be like, okay, let me lock in on that.
That's right.
And actually invest. And the people you do see that are invested are really fully committed, because I do seen a lot of like friends and influencers like that are really committed, because I like, even in that space too, like even in that space, it's just like there's so much going on with social media, there's so much distraction, there's so much room to freely talk about, you know, being an atheist or like worshiping something different. It's just like when you see somebody that's like really committed in their faith, they're pushing all of this distraction aside and they're really locked in.
One that there's a lot of stuff that's like breaking through
Yeah.
out of like Christian circles and into bigger like Forrest Frank even, right? Like how he's breaking through into like top like artist level, like putting out music there that not just Christians are listening to, but also my hope is that it's changing the way artists and people think about Christian music anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because the reality is, and I don't know if you've read anything about the Michael Tate stuff and seen what happened. So back when I was growing up, DC Talk was like the band, okay? And Michael Tate just recently stepped out. He left DC Talk when they broke up, became a part of Newsboys. So Newsboys, the God's Not Dead, the song God's Not Dead. So they traveled all over the country. They were putting out music. But the whole time, Michael Tate has been having this secret double life of like sin, of like preying on other. I mean, it was terrible. Like, just read it. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. But what has come out is that the Christian music industry has always been terrible. Like smoking and drinking and like all this stuff, like on tour, that like living a completely double life. Like on stage, they're like, oh, we love Jesus. And in private, like doing drugs and leading people like down lives of like totally not pointing to Jesus at all. And what I've seen is that like the younger musicians that we see coming up now, they seem to be, I could be fooled, but they seem to be more authentic. That it's not just an act. This is just who they are. And now they're making music out of that passion. They're not musicians who are trying to be Christian. They're Christians who happen to be musicians. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like that, right? And I feel like that's the case in your generation. Is they're gonna have a core identity, and if that core identity is rooted in God, then everything they do is gonna come out of that. Versus my generation, we were compartmentalized. Like, here's my job, here's my family, here's my this, here's my that. And it was easy to like, when we were outside of the God thing, then we could act a certain way, do it a certain thing. But your generation seems to be like, no, if God's a part of your life, he's a part of everything.
Yeah.
And that's
real.
Yeah.
That's real. Okay. Plus shout out, go ahead and shout out the gospel, your big, I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
AI in the gospel, shout it out. And then how do we follow your work?
So I don't even know what it is yet, but you can follow it anywhere at AI and the gospel. Okay. So it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't know. I don't think I've created TikTok for it yet, but I'll probably will if I don't. But I'm working on putting out more video content. Right now I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, and then I do have a podcast. So it's AI and the Gospel. It's on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. And so working on building some weekly content for that. But right now that's really what it is. Instagram's the main place that you could follow and help me as I grow that. And the main thing that we're trying to do is provide resources for people to know about what's going on in the AI world, especially how it relates to Christ and the church. And then I'm also I've gone to several churches and conferences where I help train people how to use it. So if you have any, like, you want to know how to do something, like I've been working on doing AI videos, AI artwork. I use it to help write sermons. I don't write this, like help structure it. I use it for Bible studies, like all sorts of stuff. If you have any questions about how it could possibly help you or any ideas, just reach out to me at AI and the Gospel on Instagram, and we can connect.
Okay, that's real. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming to this podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
I meant to have him here like 3 weeks ago, but this was great getting to know him. Guys, please follow his work online. Incredible man, incredible guy. You learn a lot from him. Grow with him in AI. What do you got to say about this? What do you have to say to this generation about AI? Like, is there gold rush or something? Should they hop on it? Like, what's up?
I mean, you absolutely need it. You have to start figuring out what it can do and why, because it's going to be a part of everything. There's not going to be a business that AI and the gospel that AI doesn't touch. Like, AI is going to touch nearly every business. Just period. So
one word to describe.
Get in, figure it out. And my recommendation is this: if you've never done anything with AI, or even if you've done some, just 5 minutes a day. Get on there 5 minutes a day. Any AI tool is free to use for 5 minutes a day. Get on there for 5 minutes a day and just play around with it. See what it can do for you, and then make your decision on how much you want to use it.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have a whole podcast on that, so we can hopefully teach.
Absolutely.
Okay. So thank you so much for coming. Have a good day, y'all.